Hi, I'm Trevor Justice, Director of the Vegetarian Health Institute. In the last video, I explained how today's processed foods are starving you for nutrition and keeping you overweight and hungry. I also showed you Dr. Fuhrman's micronutrient scores, which revealed that vegetables, fruits, beans, and whole grains give you the most nutrition per calorie, so you can fill up on 40% fewer calories. And when your body receives this whole food nutrition 3 times a day, the hormone leptin curbs your hunger, reduces sugar cravings, speeds up your metabolism, and signals your liver to burn fat. You'll find all the research behind this in my booklet, The Secret to Being Fit Forever. In today's video, you'll meet moms and grandmas who've lost 40 to 100 pounds by replacing dead processed foods with delicious whole food meals. But first, I want to thank you for all of the positive comments. It's awesome to know that my message is resonating with so many people who are ready to get off the diet roller coaster and make a permanent lifestyle change. I also got some good questions, so I'd like to answer them now. First, if I mainly eat vegetables, fruits, beans, and whole grains, will I be hungry after meals? Well, if you only ate vegetables and fruits, yes, you would. But beans and whole grains are complex carbs that take 4 to 6 hours to digest, so your stomach remains full for hours. And unlike bad carbs, such as breads and flour products, they're low glycemic foods, so they don't cause blood sugar spikes or crashes that make you hungry for more. Second question, can I get enough protein from these foods? Take a look at this table detailing the diets of the world's healthiest and longest-lived peoples. These people regularly live to be over 100 years old, and their societies have zero obesity. As you can see, animal foods make up just 1 to 10% of their diets. The most comprehensive nutrition study ever was led by Cornell University. This 20-year study examined the diets and the health of people from over 2,500 counties in China and Taiwan. In 2006, the results were published in the China Study. The author, T. Colin Campbell, is a professor of nutritional biochemistry at Cornell University. He grew up on a dairy farm, believing and preaching that humans needed lots of animal protein. So he was shocked to discover that societies eating more animal foods had higher death rates from cancer and other Western diseases. He found the opposite was true for societies that ate more plant foods. Third and final question, what's wrong with gluten? Gluten has a sticky quality that can irritate or inflame your gut, and it's estimated that 30 to 50% of today's population is sensitive to gluten. But what's changed? Why now? Hasn't wheat always been a staple in our diets? Yes, and until recently, most people weren't bothered by gluten. So what's changed? Well, first, we used to eat different varieties of wheat that came from heirloom seeds. These varieties didn't have as much gluten as today's wheat, and we didn't eat flour products 3 times a day. Today's food industry has hybridized wheat to increase its gluten content. So instead of us eating different varieties of wheat, occasionally, we now eat the same high-gluten wheat 3 times a day. In the next video, you'll learn to make a delicious meal with whole foods and season it with rejuvenating herbs and spices that'll wow your taste buds and curb your cravings for sweets. The rest of today's video is dedicated to moms and grandmas who've lost 40 to 100 pounds by eating delicious whole food meals, with no boring, strict, or complicated meals, no counting calories, carbs, or points, no expensive pills, powders, or supplements, and no feeling deprived, starved, or hungry after meals. The first one is Lynette Ferguson, a 41-year-old grandma who lost 51 pounds in 8 months. The second is Lisa Books Williams, a 46-year-old who lost 100 pounds. And what I love about Lisa is how willing she is to be vulnerable on camera and let us in on her innermost struggles. The third is Kim Miles, a 55-year-old mom who lost over 20 pounds at first, and then she felt so good she decided to run a half marathon with her daughter and lost another 20 pounds while training for the marathon. If you're like me, I know you'll find these stories incredibly inspiring. So grab a healthy snack, sit back and turn off your phone. Then check your inbox for a link to the next video in this series.
My name is Lynette Ferguson, and I am a 41-year-old, and I am a grandma, a very young grandma, and I live in Pleasanton, California. Before I switched to a plant-based whole foods diet, I was about 214 pounds, and I was having a lot of aches and pains in my joints and my muscles. I felt a lot older than I was. And I was having really bad allergies. My allergies were off the charts, and I was taking all kinds of medications for those allergies. And I just generally did not feel good. I felt toxified. I felt like my body was just full of toxins. And I just knew that I needed to switch my diet. I knew it was diet related, and I knew that switching my diet would fix the problem. Having all that extra weight on me, I couldn't do things like run, or if I could run, my knees were hurting, and so I was having a lot of knee pain. And having the health issues that I was having, I was afraid that I wasn't going to be around very long for my granddaughter. When I was out in the dating world and worried about whether somebody wanted to date me or not, being self-conscious of whether they were not wanting to date me because I was overweight, and being on the personal sites, there's a lot of room for rejection, because if nobody's responding to your ad, then you know that there's potentially something wrong, and I wanted to fix that. Emotionally, I just had really low self-confidence. I would feel alone, and I would self-conscious. I felt very self-conscious. So the diets that I had tried up until switching to a whole foods plant-based diet just were not working for me. When I switched to a plant-based whole foods diet, I found that it was easy to stick with. I didn't actually have the cravings for the meat and cheese that I thought I was going to have. I didn't miss anything, really. My body was feeling so good that I was like, I don't want to put any of that junk into my body. So it wasn't an issue for me. And now I realize, after I've lost all of the weight that I've lost 51 pounds, that I really don't have a desire to go back to eating like I had been before. I didn't realize that food could taste so good. Making banana ice cream in my Vitamix is like heaven. I didn't even realize that ice cream could taste good. I don't even miss dairy. I don't miss regular ice cream because the banana ice cream is so satisfying. I was like, wow, where has this been all of my life? How is it that I have spent this many years not eating such good food, good tasting food? Because now I actually taste food, because I'm not filling my plate with stuff that is so filled with fillers and preservatives, and it just doesn't have the same flavors as regular whole food does. Luckily, after I switched my diet, within a very short period of time, matter of days and weeks, within a matter of days, my allergies were gone. And within a matter of weeks, my aches and pains were all gone. And oddly enough, I used to get this weird film on my contact lenses that after I switched my diet didn't happen anymore. Since I've lost the 51 pounds, I have gone down 5 inches in my waist and 5 inches in my stomach area, like my hip area. I have also dropped, I think, 4 sizes. I went from a size 16, where I was actually pushing an 18, down to now a size 10 pant size. And I'm in a size between medium and large shirt size. Since I've lost the 51 pounds that I have, I feel so much more confident in myself. I walk lighter, I feel lighter. I have my coworkers walking through the halls telling me, hey skinny, hey slim. And they're just like, oh my gosh, you look so good. If they haven't seen me in a while, they almost don't recognize me because I've lost so much weight. And everyone is so excited for me. They're just like, I'm so proud of you. You're such an inspiration. And I have to say that I have actually influenced multiple coworkers to switch to a plant-based diet. And I've heard many stories from people who have switched to a plant-based diet who said, once I switched, I didn't look back.
Hi, I'm Lisa Books Williams. I'm 46 years young and I live in Pleasanton, California. Well, 2 years ago, I was 100 pounds heavier in the 280s and I had a myriad of health problems. I found out about these support groups of fat acceptance, and I thought, well, maybe I could become one of those fat acceptance types, but I couldn't because deep down I hated myself and I hated all this extra weight on my body because I knew that it was killing me, just as it had done to my father and other relatives. And additionally, after I would have a compulsive binging moment, I would feel terrible about myself. I would feel like, what a stupid piece of crap I am for doing that. Why would I do that to myself? I know that I was eating unhealthy food and I would beat myself up in my mind. And I just hated myself for what I did. I was with my niece at Great America, and I was so excited because they had come out to visit me from Pennsylvania. And I wanted to ride on one of the roller coasters. And so I never really thought that I would be too fat to be on a ride. And so I sat on the ride, and it came time to get the bar down. And this was a busy summer day, and there were lots of people on the ride and in the line, and the bar wouldn't go down. And then so the attendant had to come and was pushing the bar down but couldn't get the bar down. And so then the attendant called over another attendant, and they're both trying to push and push and push. And the people on the ride are saying, "Get off, you fat slob." And then they were like, "Well, we're sorry, ma'am, you're just too big for this ride." And so I had to step off and walk past all these snickering people, and it was just excruciatingly humiliating. I had to own what I did to myself. I had to be in acceptance and say, I made myself this way. I take responsibility for making myself this way. So what am I going to do about it? It was about 2 years ago, and more specifically a year ago, that I said I'm going to eat a healthier vegetarian plant-based diet. And that's when I started to see changes in my life, in how I felt physically and emotionally, by getting off of all of the processed foods, getting off of the sugar, and definitely getting off of the flour. Now that I've lost 100 pounds, my life has changed dramatically. I feel really good about myself, and I am just anxious to start the day. I don't have those mood swings that I used to have, like a feeling that would just come out of nowhere, like an anger feeling or anxiety feeling or a frustration feeling. I feel more happy, more joyous, and more free. I feel more confident in myself with my relationship. And when you're really fat, you're limited with what you can do in the amorous department. But losing weight, you can do a lot more. And I'll just say that, okay? I have better digestion of my food. I have better sleep. I'm sleeping better. I also just feel better in my body by having all the wonderful fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans and such. And one of the things that is the biggest is that I don't feel that addiction, that obsession, and that compulsion that I used to feel when I was eating a lot of the processed foods. Well, a lot of people are concerned about whenever they hear like plant-based eating or vegetarian eating or healthy eating. But let me tell you, you can make healthy eating delicious. There are so many different types of grains and beans and spices and vegetables and fruits, whole grains, that you can combine them in such ways to make delicious, healthy, nutritious, and satisfying meals. So believe me, you won't be bored.
I'm Kim. I got to this point where all this stuff around here after I turned 50 just sort of started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it got to where I couldn't hold my stomach in and see over it to my feet. And at that point in time, I wasn't actually weighing myself. I had thrown my scale in the garbage can because it just made me cry every time I got near it. So, guessing that at that point, that at 5'7", I probably weighed around 180. And it didn't feel good. It didn't look good. And I was used to being pretty and young. And here I was, over 50, getting fatter, believing the curse that women over 50 are going to get a gut and we're going to get old and unhealthy and fall apart. And that's just the way it is. What woman feels good when she has a great big fat stomach hanging out and flabby thises and that's and everything just isn't cooperating properly? It does not make a girl feel pretty. And certainly that affected, my relationship with my husband. And I just sort of wanted to wear big baggy stuff and not be noticed. And part of what happened also was that in public places, I was no longer noticed because I had turned into one of those invisible old ladies. I noticed pretty immediately that, my knees stopped hurting when I changed my food. I lost pretty quickly what I guessed to be was 20 to 25 pounds. I don't know because, again, I wasn't letting a scale anywhere into my life. I was just too embarrassed by what I had let happen to myself. I'm 55 now, and I'm in the best shape of my life. And in fact, I ran a half marathon last weekend, which makes me feel really, really proud of myself, really happy, and it's something I didn't really think that I would ever be able to do. But I did it, and I know absolutely for certain that my diet has helped me do that. My knees don't hurt, my back doesn't hurt, my blood pressure, which was high, which runs in the family, which I no longer even really believe in, has gone down to lovely, normal, low levels. And even my gray hair is getting darker. And this I'm not sure is possible, but that seems to be what's happening. The other day my husband says, "You color in your hair again?" I said, "No, honey." The reason I am absolutely positive it will stick is because it isn't a diet. It isn't something to do temporarily and then go off of. For me, this is a total way of life. This is my Disney Half Marathon medal, and I am super duper proud of this because this is huge for me. I used to say I wouldn't run out of my house if it was on fire, and I ran 13.1 miles on purpose, and I smiled the entire way.